My name is Payton Hogan. I'm a licensed mental health practitioner. I've been a therapist for going on 6 years now. Over the last 3 years, though, I've been on the journey of building up my own private practice, and I've been able to generate just about $850,000 with my private practice over the last 3 years, so it's been really good. But I was not always in this position that I'm in today. Also, I'm gonna brag on myself a little bit. I got like 14 employees. This right here is my director of operation. She's working as my media person today, and she's also my sister. So she got like three roles in one. It's pretty dope. Yeah, no, we make sure we pay her. We make sure we pay her. But yeah, like I said, I was not always in this position. Like being a business owner, I couldn't even like fathom being a business owner in the capacity, especially of being like a mental health therapist business owner. It was actually like a very like dark journey that I went through. And I think like a good place to start with that journey is being in college. So first off, I went to Wayne State. Shout out to any Wildcat, former Wildcat, like that's my alma mater. It's cool there. It's about 5,000 people, so it's a little bit different. Not too many people who look like me, but made the best of it. I was a college athlete. I played football. I was on scholarship. I was doing my thing out there. We're gonna go back to my freshman year of college. In my freshman year, going out there, I was like, you know what, I wanna like do my freshman year right. I wanna make sure I stay on the right path. I wanna make sure I got good grades. I wanna make sure I do really good with football. I was trying out the red shirt, but I got out there, got hit with the reality, like, nah, bro, you about the red shirt. I was like, all right, cool, whatever. And so I'm out there, I get good grades like my first semester because I'm really focused in. This is a complete 180 from my whole high school career. In high school, I skipped class, I smoked a lot of weed, I went to a lot of parties. I did a lot of things that I wasn't supposed to do, but fortunately, I made it through it. Also, something else that I did, I sold a lot of drugs. I started selling drugs when I was like 12, 13 years old. And so in high school, like what that looked like was like me getting weed from my plug. I get my weed from my plug, go sell it at school. And I also would like make like edible treats and stuff like that to like kind of disguise what I was doing in school so I could go under the radar. And fortunately, but unfortunately, I never got caught. I think if I would have got caught back then, maybe the trajectory of my life would have went a little bit different, but I didn't know. What up, bro? What up? Maybe the trajectory of my life would have went a little bit different, but I'm glad that it didn't because I probably wouldn't be in this position that I am in now if it would have happened that way. And so when I got out to college, I was like, I'm not doing any of that. I'm putting this all down. I'm gonna start going to church, go to Bible study, go to this thing called Campus Crusades, where we go in there and we do praise and worship, get my mind right, get my life right. And I think that lasted all but like 4 months. I remember coming back to Omaha on one of my breaks, and I was hanging out with some of the friends that I used to hang around when I lived here. And I was just like, man, like, I miss this. I miss this life. I miss partying. I miss being able to smoke. I miss like making the money that I was making. And back then, like I said, I made over $850,000 in these last 3 years. Back then, I was like, well, I can make like $1,000 a week and it all be gone the next couple of days because I'm blowing it and I'm smoking it away and I'm buying alcohol and I'm over here flexing thinking I'm doing cool stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like buying everybody's stuff, buying all the food, whatever. And so I was like, I want to be able to make that money again. I want to be able to have that feeling again. And I think like that feeling that I was searching for, actually, I know that feeling that I was searching for came from my own insecurity. Like growing up, I had like a lot of self-esteem issues. I was a really heavy set kid. I was real big. Like imagine me this height, I'm 6'3", throw on about 80 more pounds. And that's what I was in 7th grade. It was big. I was big. And so like, I would walk around, I would constantly like tug on my shirt, wear my hands in my pockets like this because like I felt self-conscious. And so I was always looking for ways to like feel accepted. And so I think like being reintroduced into this lifestyle when I was back home from college, I was like, this is another way that I can affirm that I have worth in myself. And so what do y'all think I did? I was like, I could do this. I picked up a pack. At that time, I was like, all right, I did some numbers. I was like, I can move some stuff pretty good. I was like, let me start picking up a quarter pound. So my dealer fronted me that. And back then I was like, I think that was like 900, but I can make like an extra 1,000 on it. And just to give just like a little concept. So like even back then, like I had this business mindset. I didn't think about necessarily like running my own business in that capacity, but I'm sitting there thinking about numbers. I'm like, all right, I can get this much, I can make this much. And so like I had some skills to be like a very successful person, but I was directing them in the wrong direction. And like when people don't tell you, or like when you don't have people around you telling you like you have these traits that could take you really far, like they can be your biggest downfall. So like I know there are people out there who are directing their energy in the wrong way, but the energy itself is not necessarily negative. It's just about where you place it. And so I'm thinking about these numbers. I'm like, all right, I can flip this quarter pound. I can make like 1,000 on it. And so that's what I started doing. Every like 2 to 3 days, I would drive back and forth from Omaha at this time, picking up another quarter pound. Like it was that one front, pay my front off, come back, pick it up, do my thing, come back, pick it up. And out in Wayne, I had multiple people running for me. So like right now, like I said, I got like 14 people that are working for me. Again, another skill. I was like, okay, I know how to manage. Like I know how to delegate tasks. I know how to make things happen without just me. Another important business skill, but directed in the wrong way. And so I was doing that, and I did that for about, this is like, let's say November, December. About February hit, and I remember in particular, there was this one time I was driving back from Omaha. I was taking highway, what is that? Not 275. Because to get to Wayne, like it's only one way to get to Wayne. Oh, we got another mic? Okay. Yeah. Oh, is this one better? Yeah, this one is way better. Okay, there we go. We're clear now. Yeah, so there's like, you only get to Wayne if you want to get to Wayne. And so I was taking this highway. I don't remember exactly what it was, but you go through like Tacoma, Burke County. And I was coming around that, and I had like 2 of my friends with me, and I was driving this other kid's truck. And I was speeding just a little bit, and I got pulled over, and I had a quarter pound outside in the truck bed of his truck. We got pulled over. We were smoking in the car. And so they had probable cause to search. And so they searched the whole thing, and ultimately they found it. Nobody was saying it was theirs. They were like, we're gonna take all of y'all in. And I was like, all right, whatever. Like, I'll just go down for it. So they're like, all right, cool, it's whatever. They booked me on misdemeanor charges. And at this point, you think I would learn my lesson, right? Like, I just got these charges. Like, I'm playing football. I could lose my scholarship. I could get kicked off the team. Didn't learn my lesson. Matter of fact, the cops were actually pretty lenient. They were like, yo, we know you're a football player. Like, if you can get somebody to come up here tonight, we won't book you. We'll let you bail out for $300. They just got to come get you tonight. So called one of my homies, came up there, got me out. They were like, we're not going to publish it in our paper. We're not going to make it big. So I'm like, cool, I can skate by. Got back. I had a little bit of money, put some money on an attorney, got to drop down to a ticket. Did not learn my lesson whatsoever. I was like, oh, this is easy. I need to make my money back. I just lost 1,000 or so bucks. So what I did is I went back out to my plug, got fronted another one, and kept on doing what I was doing. Little did I know, they were starting to build a case on me. And so a couple months go by, and I had, like I said, I had people running for me. I had people that I sold to. And it was this particular day right before our spring game. It was probably like a week before. There had been a blizzard. This was 2013. There had been a big blizzard. And so our field had like snow up to like our knees, ice, all this stuff. And so for that week, we couldn't practice spring ball. But what they had us do is they had us go out on the field with shovels and like shovel for 2 hours. And we did it in like in blocks. We had like 100 something people on our team. So like every so often we'd go out there, and then the other people would do their weightlifting and all that stuff. And so I remember after this one particular day, something just didn't feel right in my stomach. I was just like, something feels off. Nobody ever said anything to me. Nothing was out of the norm, like out of the ordinary. I just didn't feel right. And I did like my shift on the field, shoveling off the snow and stuff. And I went back to my dorm, and my roommate, I was talking to him. I was like, bro, something feels off. Like, I don't know what it is. And he was like, what you talking about, bro? Like, it doesn't feel right. And a couple seconds later, like, there was a knock on our door. I'm like, who is this? Who's knocking on our door? And so I go answer the door, and it's my dorm's AD. And I did a video about this. I don't know what AD stands for, but that's just like the dude that oversees the whole dorm, pretty much. And he came over and he was like, "Hey, Payton, campus security wants to talk to you." I was like, "What about? Like, campus security for what?" It's like, "I don't know. They just told us to tell you that you need to go down to campus security right now. And you need to go talk to them." And so like at that moment, like my heart's beating. It's like, doom, 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 doom. I already don't feel right. And so this is just affirming like that feeling. And I'm like, oh no, okay. So my roommate looks at me, I look at him, I'm like, all right, I'm about to go down there and talk to them. Like, all right, bro. And so I'm walking out the door and I'm walking to campus security. And like that was probably like one of the longest walks of my life, because I just like my mind was just like racing, it was running. I'm like, what's about to happen? What are they about to talk to me about? Like, what's going on? I don't know what I'm about to expect, but I'm doing all of these things that like I should be like aware, like something is not right here. And so I get in there and I'm like, you guys wanted me? They're like, who are you? I'm like, Payton Hogan. It was like, oh, you're Payton Hogan? Okay. You're under arrest. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say and do will be used against you in the court of law. And I'm like, okay. They come over, they slap the cuffs on me. They're like, you need to wait for Wayne PD to come here to pick you up. And so I'm just sitting there and I'm like, excuse my language, I'm just like, fuck. It's done. Hands behind my back, sitting down like football, done. Life, done. Like, I don't know what to do anymore. And so in my mind, I'm just prepping. I'm prepping to like endure this time that I'm about to face. And so they pick me up and they take me down to the Wayne police station, because they don't have a jail in Wayne County. So they took me down to the Wayne police station and they had me like chained up to this waiting cell that was pink and it was nasty and it was ugly for like 6 hours. And they were coming in and out of the room, like interrogating me. Who you get your stuff from? What you doing? Where you going? Da, da, da. I'm just like, I don't know, man. I don't know. All the while I'm sweating. I'm like, damn, they're like, this is the only way your life is ever gonna be saved if you talk to us. I'm just like, I guess my life is over. Because I didn't grow up like that way. I didn't grow up like just telling on people. Like I knew what I was doing, so I gotta deal with the consequences of my actions. I think that is one of the greatest lessons that like I ever learned, because with that has not only helped me to be successful in my business, it's like it's up to me and my discipline and my choices that I make to be successful, not anybody else's. And in the same breath, like if I choose to do things that I know have high risk, it's only on me. It can't be on anybody else. So take that lesson. Eventually they were all done. Like I said, like 5-6 hours later after being chained on there, they took me up to Pierce County Jail and I was sitting in there for like just a little over a week, just sitting in there, thinking, reflecting. Spring game passed. I was battling for a starting position at center. Like I said, I was a bigger guy then. I was way bigger. So I was battling for a starting position. It was me and the first string person battling for that position. I missed the spring game. And I just remember like, dang, I let everybody down. I let my mom down. I let my teammates down. I let myself down. My life is over. I don't know what I'm about to do. I don't know where I'm about to turn to. And I'm broke. I ain't got no more money. Like, I don't have any money. And so eventually, funny story, my other sister, she told me this after I got out. She told my mom not to bail me out. She was like, don't bail him out. Let him sit. He ain't learning from any of his lessons. And like, I can laugh about that now because I wasn't learning from any of my lessons. Like I needed to sit my butt in jail. Like I needed to. But my mom eventually did bail me out like a week or so later. And she was just so disappointed. I remember being in the cop car and they were like, who do you want us to call? Because at that time I was still technically a minor. I was 18 years old. My birthday was a week later. And so they had to call one of my parents. I told them to call my dad. And at this time, me and my dad weren't cool either. And so I was like, yeah, call him. I don't care. Call him. He's gonna probably be surprised. Like he's not going to be surprised that I'm in this position. Cause I used to do a whole bunch of stuff that he was like, you about to end up in jail. You're gonna be doing this, doing that. And I was like, yep, here you go, Dad. But no, they called my mom instead. And when she got me, she was just like crying and she was just upset. She was like, why are you doing this? Why are you throwing your life away? And I didn't have an answer for her. I didn't know. There were a lot of things about myself I didn't even understand. I think there's so many people who grow up in this city that don't truly understand themselves. And so they're just out here doing things. They're doing things trying to fill voids that they don't even know are present. And that was me. I was trying to fill a void that I didn't know was present, and I didn't know why I was doing what I was doing. But when I was faced with having to look myself in the mirror with my current circumstances, didn't have anything to say. And so I had to get a public defender. I didn't have, like I said, I didn't have any more money. And typically with public defenders, they don't give a damn about you. You know, you're just another number. You're just another statistic. Like, they get paid whether they do something for you or whether they don't. And they work really close with the county prosecutor, and they all go grab drinks after. And so I'm just like, well, I guess this don't really matter. But my public defender was actually really dope. She was super dope. She advocated for me. She advocated heavily for me. And she got me plugged into this opportunity called drug court. At the time, I didn't know what it was. And when she told me about it, I'm like, man, I'm not about to do no drug court. Like, we're about to take this thing to trial and see how it goes. Like, that's what I see everybody else do, take it to trial. And she's like, okay, like, let's see what happens after the discovery. And if you don't know what the discovery is, that's when they get all the evidence and they give it to your attorney and you're able to review it before you start, like, making decisions. And so I think it was probably like a month later, we got to the discovery, maybe not a month, I don't remember how long. But we got to the discovery and I was just like, oh my gosh. She was like, yeah, bro, like, I don't know if you want to do that. They got everything against you. They had recordings, they had text messages, they had, like, it was multiple recordings. So one of the people that I had, like, in my circle wore wires and was working with the cops to build up this case on me. And I didn't know it. I didn't realize it. I thought having people in my circle meant I could trust them. And this was one of the first times that I realized when you're doing things that you aren't supposed to do, you really can't trust the people around you because everybody is out for their own self-interest when you're doing the things that you're not supposed to do. And so I was placed in this position where it's like, if I take it to trial, I'm screwed. And I was looking at 10 to 15 years in prison. They were hitting me with, like, it was either a class 1 or class 2 felony. And so they wanted to, like, make me out as an example, pretty much. Wayne County, where there's not a lot of Black people, where there's not a lot of people who look like me. And I'm just this young Black drug dealer out here who's trying to terrorize their town, pretty much is what they wanted to make it look like. And so after a little bit of thought, I was like, all right, let's try this drug court thing out. Because with drug court, it's this thing called a problem solving court. And with those are designed to redirect people who are nonviolent offenders and help them to not go to prison, pretty much, and rehabilitate. So it was like this intensive, let's call it rehab, I guess. So I had to do, like, a whole assessment and a whole intake. And I essentially got diagnosed with major depressive disorder and also multiple substance use disorder. So alcohol use disorder and then cannabis use disorder. And so those were the qualifications that I had to have in order to make it into this thing. And so from here, my life, like, I thought I was already at rock bottom. I lost football, I lost school, I lost, like, a normalcy in my life. I thought that was rock bottom, but it was not. I had to uproot my life from Wayne, where I had made these friends, like, had my camaraderie with my teammates, all of these different things. I had to go move to Norfolk, Nebraska. If y'all not familiar with Norfolk, Nebraska, again, I'm a young Black man. I'm 18 years old, 19 now. I'm 19 by now. But Norfolk, there's 20,000 people, so a little bit more. For fun, they go to Walmart and Target. That's what they do for fun. Their mall closes at like 7, and they got this store called Herbert's Sports where they sell, like, Team Jordans. And I think they might have, like, 1 pair of Air Force Ones on the wall. And so I'm just like, whew. And the only Black people that work there, they work in the factories, and they came from, like, St. Louis or Chicago, and so they older. And there's a very, very, very small population of those. So unless you're from there, you just really don't know them. So I'm out in Norfolk, Nebraska, 19 years old, can't leave the county, Madison County. I can't leave it. Anytime that I did, I would get pulled over. They would search my car. They would put me in handcuffs and set me on the curb. Anytime that I did. And I had to get permission to. If I left without permission, I would get a warrant out for my arrest. They would take me to jail. That's when I hit my bottom. I no longer had any substance that I could, like, use to cope. I couldn't smoke my problems away. I couldn't drink my problems away. I couldn't be around my friends and hang out and do my problems away like that. I was just stuck with myself and my thoughts. And most of the time it sounded just like this. That was the most depressing time of my life. On top of that, I had to go stand in front of the judge once a week for 3 hours. I had to drug test at random 4 to 5 times a week, calling in every morning at 5 o'clock. I had to go to intensive outpatient treatment, which was 3 hours for 3 nights a week, so a total of 9 hours. I had to go to a therapist, I had to go to a therapist 1 hour a week. I had to do this class called Relapse Prevention, 26 weeks. I had to do MRT 13 weeks. I had to do aftercare another 26 weeks. And I'm just like, dang, and I can't even escape myself. I can't even escape myself. On top of that, I had to go to AA meetings too. And so I'm out in Norfolk, and if y'all not familiar with like alcohol and drugs in Norfolk, like alcohol is big, meth is even bigger. And if you go into an AA room, there's nobody, can't say there's nobody. There typically is not anybody who is 18, 19 years old. Everybody is usually about 40 or so plus, struggling with multiple DUIs, struggling with meth use, and they were white. And so I'm just in these rooms and I'm like, yo, like what is my life come to? This is where I'm at. I remember there would be so many nights where I would like cry. I would just cry. And it had been so long since I cried, but I was depressed and low. Like I just didn't know how I was gonna make it through it. But one of the benefits of going through this is I got plugged in with that therapist. And my therapist was for my drug and alcohol treatment. But as I'm going to her, she's like, I can tell that our focus here is not drugs and alcohol. It doesn't seem like you truly are an addict or an alcoholic, but you got to play the game. You got to play the game. You got to say that, because I did. And there was a point in time where I wouldn't acknowledge that because, like I said, I don't look like anybody else who is in these rooms. Like, I'm not struggling with meth. I'm not like binged out on alcohol, driving and getting, like, that's not me. So like, why am I going to sit here and act like it? But on a certain level, like there were things that I had to acknowledge about my use. Like I was using, like, I was self-medicating. You know what I mean? There were things that I didn't want to deal with. And so like, I think through learned behaviors, like I thought that, you know, just drinking when I don't feel bad on the weekends with my friends was normal. I thought that smoking every single day, every single hour before I went and hoop, before I went and play football, before I went and watched a movie, because it was fun, like that was normal. But no, those were habit-forming behaviors. And so there was a certain level of addiction that I had to start acknowledging within myself. But my therapist was like, I don't think that's your focus. I think there's more that you're dealing with that we're not talking about. And I remember it was in that moment, like I was just like, okay, maybe there is, but like, why does she see that? Why is she seeing that? Like, it was almost like I was naked in front of her. Not literally. So like, don't think about that. But like, my mind was like she was looking into it, and I'm like, I didn't like it. It was uncomfortable, but like I literally was trying to hide this thing from everybody that I felt like I was less than, and she could see that. And so through going to therapy, we started to like unpack and like really draw back these layers that I've been struggling with for so long. And I think that was the first time in my life that like I was able to acknowledge the traumas that I had been through, the ways that I had been dealing with them, and how like they were showing up in my life. And I think that was one of the most liberating things that I ever went through. I remember thinking to myself, I was like, there's so many people who have been through experiences like me in my city that don't get an opportunity like this, that don't sit down with a therapist and are actually able to talk about these things on this level and really come to some type of like understanding within themselves. And so that started my journey of like healing myself and learning more about myself. And so while I'm out in Norfolk, like I said, I'm depressed, but I'm determined. I'm not a dummy. My mama didn't raise an idiot. And so I'm out there doing everything that I needed to do. I re-enrolled in the community college out there, Northeast Community College, had a full schedule, got straight A's, never missed a drug test, never missed a class, never missed anything. And I was talking to my drug court officer and I was like, if I do everything right here, can I like move back to Wayne? And they're like, we don't typically do that, but like, we'll see. Talk to us in like 5-6 months, we'll see. And one of these times, like I was working at McDonald's in Wayne still, like I was trying to find reasons like to go back there. they kept on telling me, you need to find a job out here. I was like, I'm applying everywhere. I can't find a job. I'm lying. I was lying. I was just looking for reasons to like still have some sense of community in some way. And so one of those times I went up to the school and I went and talked to the dean of students. I was like, hey, like if my drug court lets me move back up here, can I re-enroll in school? He was like, we can reconsider it after 6 months. So 6 months, it meant something. And I was like, all right, cool. I went and talked to my coach and I was like, hey, coach, if they let me back into school, like, can I get my scholarship back and come on the team? He was like, we'll see. If they let you back in school, come talk to me. And so 6 months goes by and we're coming up to like, probably like December-ish of 2013, December of 2013. And I remember one of the times I was standing in front of the judge and I had this whole letter drawn up. I was just telling them everything that I did. And I was like, you guys said you would consider it. Like, I just want to see if like you can start having talks amongst yourselves to see if like this is something that I could do. And like my judge, his name was Judge Cuby. It was like, well, Payton, we actually already did talk about it. We talked about it when you first asked and we've been tracking your progress and you've been doing everything that you need to do. We don't typically do this, so don't let us down. And I remember I was just like, when he said that, I was like, don't let you down? Does that mean? He's like, yeah, you can move back. And I was like, man, this was the first time in my life that I realized if I put my mind to something truthfully, like I can achieve anything. Because I did something that was virtually impossible. Like they don't let people do their drug court in a different county. They don't let you leave the county. Like I said, if I left the county, they're automatically pulling me over. Any sheriff that's sitting on them, they're pulling me over off my plates. They're taking me out the car. They're cuffing me up. They're setting me on the curb and they're searching it. And then they're sending me back. And for me to be able to like get this opportunity to move back, I'm like, yo, I got something in here that I need to like start tapping into. And so I was able to move back. I got my scholarship back. I was back on my team and I was able to continue my college career. Ultimately, like we're not going to go into all the details of what college was like, but just know I graduated with my bachelor's, double major, political science, criminal justice in 4 years. So I was still on the normal track. Graduated with like a 3.5 GPA. But during this time in between here, I think one of the most important parts is I started working at the social work agency at a day reporting center for juveniles who were in the JJS, juvenile justice system, and also in the health and human services system. And so they would come here if they got suspended from school. They would come to our after school program if they're on probation or whatever it was. And so at this time, I'm like 21-ish, somewhere around there. And I'm working with these kids who were in the same position as me. And so I saw so many similarities in them. And I'm like, yo, I relate to them. Like they hear me, they really mess with me. They were like, oh, all the other teachers here, they just so stuck up and they're this and they're that. And we hear you. And so like when I would tell them stuff, they would listen. They would do it. They would hear me. They felt me. And I'm like, okay, I like this. Like I like being able to give back in this capacity. Eventually, like I made my way to coordinating the whole day reporting center. I started doing like family support, which is another social work like position. Did IFP, did drug testing, did tracking. So I essentially became like a private probation officer. But it became like a lot. So like living out, like being out in Norfolk, this job was out in Norfolk. Doing this, like we covered like, it's probably like a 200 or 300 mile radius. So like I would have to drive to these other small towns and like meet with kids, pick them up, do all this stuff. And so I was clocking like 60, 70 work hour weeks.